Hello, friends, and welcome back to another round of stories about entitled people. Today's story takes us back to California's worst drought, when watering your lawn was literally illegal. One family did the right thing and let their grass dry up, only to face a $500 a day fine from an HOA that thought it was above the law. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. All right, let's get into it. When the HOA thought it was mightier than the state. Back when California was going through its worst drought in years, the state issued mandatory water restrictions. No watering lawns, no filling pools, no excessive use. Most of us understood it was serious. My mom took it to heart and stopped watering our grass altogether. Within a couple of weeks, our once green lawn turned yellow and patchy. But it was the right thing to do. We were following the law. The HOA, however, didn't see it that way. They started sending us violation notices almost immediately. Then came the fines. $500 per day for having a neglected, unsightly lawn. My mom tried reasoning with them, explaining the drought restrictions, even sending documentation from the city showing that lawn watering was prohibited. Didn't matter. The HOA board, a group of power-hungry retirees with nothing better to do, insisted that our lawn was bringing down property values. So my mom lawyered up and took them to court. The judge took about 2 minutes to side with us. The ruling was clear. The state's mandatory drought restrictions overrode any HOA lawn care rules. The HOA couldn't legally fine homeowners for following state law. They had to refund the fines they'd already charged us and remove the violation from our record. You'd think that would have been the end of it. Enter our neighbor, the neighborhood's self-appointed moral authority and one of the loudest voices on the HOA board. She was furious that we'd made a mockery of the HOA's authority. Apparently, she thought we'd set a bad example by letting the lawn die. From then on, she made it her personal mission to make our lives miserable. It started with constant noise complaints. She called the cops claiming we were throwing loud parties every weekend. We're a fairly quiet family. Our wildest nights involve watching Netflix and ordering takeout. Still, the police came by more than once. Eventually, they decided to see for themselves and staked out our street one evening. Unsurprisingly, there was no noise, no parties, just us watching TV with the windows closed. When the officers realized the neighbor was fabricating complaints, they paid her a visit instead. They told her in no uncertain terms that filing false reports was illegal. They warned her that if she called in one more bogus noise complaint, she could be charged for wasting police resources. She didn't take that well. Apparently, being told no wasn't something she was used to. After that, things got quiet. Literally, she stopped with the calls. The HOA stopped sending fines. And for the first time in months, we could relax without checking the mailbox for another letter or watching the police car pull up for another nonsense complaint. That whole mess cemented my belief that HOAs attract the worst kinds of control freaks. People who get a little power and suddenly think they're running a miniature dictatorship. They'll nitpick the color of your mailbox, the height of your fence, or, in our case, the shade of your lawn during a drought. Honestly, there should be a law that HOA leadership positions rotate every year so no one can turn into a petty tyrant with too much time on their hands. Because when you give people like that authority, they'll use it to micromanage your life and call it maintaining neighborhood standards. In the end, our grass grew back when the restrictions lifted, but the lesson stuck. Sometimes following the rules makes enemies of people who only care about enforcing their own. There's something telling about how people handle authority, especially small authority. Give someone a title and a clipboard and you'll find out what kind of person they really are. Your mom did the right thing, followed the state's mandate, and still became a target simply because she challenged the system. And our second story. But I want my money back. My work only provides a refund if the customer brings back the same card used to make the purchase for security reasons. This happened a couple of years ago. A lady came in and wanted to return something and decided to stand there on her phone messaging someone throughout the whole transaction. When I asked if she had the same card, she said, "No, my daughter paid for it." I informed her, 1, that we need the same card, otherwise I can give her a store credit. "No, I want my money back." I informed her again, 2, what our return policies are and what we can offer as an alternative. I also informed her that she had another week available to return the item. I can't come back another day. I need to do this today. I want my money back. So I repeat to her, 3, that if she wants it done today, I can give her a store credit. At this point, she's still on her phone and she looks up. Yes, okay, fine, do that. As she's on her phone, I repeat myself again, 4, to make sure she knows what I'm doing. Me, okay, so I'm going to return these items and put the money on store credit. Is that okay? The lady, still on her phone, doesn't bother to look up at me and says, yes, that's fine. So I return the items and complete the transaction. The whole time she was, of course, on her phone. Me, okay, so here are your receipts and your store credit. Customer, finally breaking eye contact from her phone. I said I didn't want store credit. I once again repeated, 5, what the return policy is. I told her that I asked her if this was okay and she agreed. But I said I want my money back. I called for my manager and walked her through the whole ordeal. While I was explaining everything to the manager, the customer was once again standing there on her phone. The customer ended up leaving and coming back about 10 minutes later with her daughter, who was in the shopping center the whole time. We ended up putting the refund onto the daughter's card. This whole situation could have been avoided if she had just asked her daughter to come to the store to begin with. You did everything right. She was the one who decided to stand there completely zoned out on her phone, ignoring every single word you said, and then somehow you're the bad guy when she doesn't like the outcome? Typical. You can tell she's one of those people who thinks the world pauses while she texts. You spelled out the policy, repeated it multiple times, even confirmed before hitting the final button. At that point, if she's not listening, that's on her. And the daughter being in the shopping center the whole time, that's just the cherry on top. She could have solved this entire thing in 2 minutes, but instead she turned it into a 20-minute drama, just so she could feel like a victim. Retail workers aren't psychics, ma'am. You say yes, I assume you mean yes, not, I'm not actually listening, but I'll blame you later. And our next story. Teen puts bossy Karen in her place, literally at the drive-thru. I live in North Carolina, and there's a lot of commercial area. I'm talking gas station next to gas station next to gas station. The amount of business smashed so close together is amazing. Now to the story. At the time, I'm 14, and like any other 14-year-old, they get a sucky retail or fast food job. I was working at a McDonald's that leads to a highway, so there's a lot of passing traffic. Across is a grocery store and a gas station. It was an all-in-one traffic-packed 2-lane road. You could get gas, walk over for a burger, and then head to the store for ice cream. It was awesome. One day during my lunch, I decided to head to the grocery store across the road and grab a bottle of water and a burrito. While I was searching for the holy burrito, I heard the worst thing you could hear in a grocery store, a throat clearing. I thought to myself some poor employee was going to be harassed. Then I heard it again. I turned around. Hello, Karen. We'll call her AK for annoying Karen because I'm on mobile and lazy. Me. Yes. AK. Where are the tomatoes? Me. Over there. I pointed. AK. Good. Go fetch some for me. Me. What? Now I'm wearing a red shirt, black jeans, and a vest with the McDonald's logo. AK. You heard me. Give me some tomatoes. You do work here after all. Me. No, I don't. And even if I did, I doubt anyone would bring you your precious tomatoes. She started to track down a manager I found and paid for my items and went back across the street. And you'll never guess what happened next. Well, it's a Karen. You probably do. I was on the drive-thru, and not even 5 minutes later, I hear that same voice. Me. Hello, welcome to McDonald's. How can I help you? I said in a joyful manner, hoping she would catch on. Nope. AK. Can I get a type of burger I don't remember? Me. Price? Pull to the first window. AK looks at me, surprised Pikachu face. But you work over... Me. Price, please. She hands me the cash and goes to the next window. I rush to the next window because I couldn't let this opportunity pass. I tell the dude at the other window to let me do this. By now, I have a crowd. Me, I smirk. Here you go, have a nice day. She's annoyed and spins her tires out of the lot. Funny part is she forgot her burger and never came back for it. Is it me, or does it sound like a live-action episode of Scooby-Doo? If I was anywhere near you, I'd probably be on the floor laughing. And our last story. The cops wouldn't stop him, so we used his own habit against him. When I was in my early 20s, I got to live rent-free with my friend Mike in his uncle's old vacation home. It was a small win for two broke young guys. All we had to do was buy basics like toilet paper, paper towels, and cleaning supplies. Seemed like the perfect setup. About 4 months in, the house down the block sold to a new couple in their early 30s. We didn't know much about them at first, but word around the neighborhood was that the husband, a guy named Aaron, was a grade A jerk. He strutted around in his oversized lifted Chevy truck like he was compensating for something, and everyone said he had a temper. Mike had his first run-in with him pretty quickly, something small, maybe a noise complaint or a parking issue, but Aaron flew off the handle. He started yelling, calling Mike names, and it ended with both of them flipping each other off and storming off. It should have ended there, but of course it didn't. A few days later, I went outside to bring in the garbage bins and noticed 2 deep tire ruts across the front lawn. We lived on a corner lot, so I figured some drunk idiot took the turn too fast and veered off the road. I told Mike, and we spent an hour filling the ruts with dirt and reseeding the grass. No big deal. Until it happened again a week later. This time, Mike wasn't buying the accident theory. He drove past Aaron's house, and sure enough, those monster truck tires were caked with mud. Mike marched up to the front door, rang the bell, and when Aaron answered, he tried to keep it civil. "Hey man, I think we got off on the wrong foot, but could you please stop driving through our yard?" Aaron smirked and said, "Yeah, whatever," before slamming the door in his face. Mike came back fuming, but decided to give it one last chance. If he does it again, he said, "We're calling the cops." And of course it happened again. 2 fresh trenches in the lawn. We called the police, who basically shrugged and said they couldn't prove who did it. Their advice, get some cameras. So off to the hardware store we went. We were broke, so we bought the cheapest camera set we could find. The kind that looks like it was designed for potato quality footage. We set them up all around the front yard and driveway, aimed squarely at the road. A few days later, we woke up to, you guessed it, new ruts. We checked the footage, and sure enough, there was Aaron's truck rolling right through the yard like it was his personal off-road course. You could see the truck plain as day, but the resolution was too low to catch the plate number or the driver's face. When we showed the cops, they said the footage wasn't conclusive evidence. Translation, they didn't want to deal with it. That's when Mike snapped. He'd had enough of fixing the same patch of lawn every week while this oversized man-child treated it like a dirt track. Mike started brainstorming revenge plans. Some creative, some mildly illegal. The spike strip idea was out, even though he knew that'd land us in court. But then he came up with something less direct and absolutely brilliant. He let the grass grow for weeks, didn't mow it once. Meanwhile, Aaron kept making his little drive-bys, tearing new paths through the overgrown yard. What Aaron didn't know was that Mike had built something special, a set of homemade sprinkler spikes. He welded together a few metal rods that would stay hidden until weight pressed down on them. Harmless if stepped on, but sharp enough to puncture a tire. He buried them just below the surface where Aaron always entered the yard. The next time Aaron's truck cut across the grass, we heard it from inside, a loud, satisfying pop, followed by another. Mike looked at me with the smuggest grin I've ever seen. "He found them," he said. Aaron came storming over 5 minutes later, red-faced and screaming, "You're paying for my tires! You damaged my truck!" Mike crossed his arms. "You mean when you illegally drove across my lawn for the 10th time?" Aaron was still shouting when the cops showed up. The same ones from before. He demanded they charge us, but after they heard both sides, they started laughing. The officer even said, "So let me get this straight. You destroyed their property and you want them to pay for it." Aaron didn't like that answer. Instead, he got slapped with a citation for property damage and another fine for having illegal offset tires that stick too far out from the wheel wells. The cops told him to consider himself lucky they weren't pressing charges for harassment, too. He stomped back home, humiliated. After that, the lawn stayed untouched. The ruts healed, the grass grew back, and peace returned to our corner of the street. Aaron kept his distance. Every time his massive truck rolled past after that, he slowed to a crawl, glaring at the lawn like it was out to get him, which, to be fair, it kind of had been. Aaron's the kind of guy who buys a lifted truck because therapy costs too much. The man really said, "You know what'll make me feel powerful? Turning someone's front lawn into my personal motocross track." It's always the loudest trucks with the quietest brains. And I love that the cops basically said, "Buy cameras. Good luck, kid." Classic small-town energy. But Mike deserves a medal. He weaponized lawn care. Homemade sprinkler spikes? That's tactical gardening. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.